Yeah, my great-grandmother, she was my great-grandmother, and she was 6 years old. Her mother was in her 20s, and they reamed out tule reeds. They reamed out the tule reeds, and they hid under the water, and they were breathing through these reeds while all this killing was going on. And my mom, she has 3 sisters, and my mom was the one kind of took care of my great-grandma. And when I was born, 1950, 100 years after that, of Buddy Island, my great-grandma was 106, and we stayed with her. And so those 4 years till she reached 110, me and her, interacted. I would do things for her, and she would, talk to me in her language, and I did things that she told me to do in her language, so I must have, learned the language. But one thing I kind of remember is Mom would say, "Go get Grandma," and Grandma would be standing outside, and in the mornings and the evenings, and she'd be standing there, and she would say, put her palms to the air, and she would say, "Oh, Waharika," which means, "Oh, my Father," and then she would pray. She would do this in the morning and the evening. And I didn't understand as a young man, I didn't understand all this that was going on. I heard this Buddy Island story all my life. We were a part of these acts that America had done on us. I remember seeing a movie, The Gladiator, when the Rome was fighting Germania. Before they started the fight and started throwing the fire on these German guys, the head guy, what's his name, Russell Crowe, he says, "Release hell." Okay, so I feel that's what happened here in what you call America. I spell America Amerikka because of what they've done. And not only did they, the 4 million people that were here in California, only 16,500 people were survived out of that 4 million. So it was mass murder, and then I hear Americans go, "Oh, we're so proud of, this is our country, and I'm so proud of who we are, and we're a superpower," and that makes me sick to listen to that. And as a young man, I was angry. How can I pay these people back? I know math, or maybe I could become a scientist and invent a serum to just kill white men only, maybe 100 million at least. And Mom, she saw that anger. And she says, why are you so mad, at these folks? Because we have that blood in us. My grandfather was part French. My great-grandma that raised my dad, she was half. Her mother, she's from Cado. She was a Cado, and she had 5 sisters. There were 4 sisters. And those 5 sisters were the only ones that survived out of the Cado tribe in Laytonville. And so all those people that's in Laytonville today, they're all my cousins because of those 5 sisters having all these kids, right? And they're in Lake County too, called the Scotts Valley tribe, and I'm all related to these people. But the way it was done, and then she got with my grandfather, he's a Yuki. Out of the 30,000 Yuki, only 100 survived. Again, mass murder. And he was a little boy, and this Captain Duncan picks him up, takes him home, raises this little boy, and gives him this name, Dixie Duncan. And this little boy finally got raised up and went home, but this Captain Duncan didn't teach Dixie Duncan how to be a father. Dixie Duncan came home, he was an alcoholic, so he must have watched his master father, drinking and all this stuff, so he brought that home with him. And the white people killed him in Coppola. They put a bunch of crushed glass in his whiskey glass, and when he drank that, it cut him up inside, so they murdered him. But his son, he had a son, which is my grandfather, Richard Duncan, and he was part of the boarding school act. So my great-grandma went through the Extermination Act and the Indian Removal Act. They called ours the Death March to Pomos, which was Death March to Covelo. And the Indentured Act, which my great-grandfather and the Boarding School Act, which is his son, my grandfather. And then the Relocation Termination Act, that was my father. And all these acts was either to take our land, to kill us, or change who we are. Now they call me a Poma, which I'm not. They call me an American Indian. I don't call myself that, you know, or Native American. I don't call myself that. And I'm talking this foreign language. You know, this language don't belong here. We had a language here. And so they did what they tried, you know, what they were going to do, they did it. And now you find a lot of people like me that's trying to find who we are. Find our culture again, find our language again, find our songs again. Every one of us has a purpose. A village, when you have a village, you say this is a village of people right here, or this is our village. Every one of us had a job to do to make our village go. We didn't have homeless. We didn't have starving. We didn't have none of that stuff, you know. Everybody had to do something, you know. And everybody was fed. Everybody had a place to stay. And so, and the chief, he didn't have all the meat, and he didn't have all the furs and all that, you know. He made sure his people were taken care of first. I've seen this documentary, and I went to a workshop called the Water Symposium, and I got taught about this Emoto guy that he does water. He researches this water and what water crystals do when you put hard rock music to it or you put soft music to it. Hard rock music, the crystals are all nasty and, you know, not together. You put good soft music to it, the crystals are nice and pretty and they're together. Plants, same thing. You talk good to a plant, the plant's going to grow. You talk bad to a plant, the plant's not going to grow. That's what harmony and balance is, living with the earth. You have to use that energy to keep that going. And our people did that for over 25,000 years. And every time you try to explain this to a Caucasian person, they say, well, you Indians used to fight each other. You Indians did this, you Indians did that. I mean, how you know, you know? Oh, well, I read it in this book. What book? Who wrote it? Okay, you guys just made up the stories. Like you made up stories before you even got here. Stories were sent to Europe before people even got here, and they know they was going to run into these dirty, you know, savage, red-skinned Indians. You better watch out for them, you know. So you better have a Second Amendment and a gun, because you know, they're going to kill you if you don't kill them. And so everything happened like that. It's just I call it murder and theft. And then now you go to the public schools, you don't hear nothing about it. I went to Lakeport, I went to Upper Lake, I went to Calpella, I went to Ukiah, 3 schools in Ukiah, and I never heard nothing about what our tribe was about. You know, it was all about how good America was, how great they were, and how tough they are, and all this jazz. They brainwashed me to the point where when I go to these movies, I'd be rooting for the Cowboys. When I hear that, you know, all right, now that white woman, blonde-haired white woman saved these 1,000 Indians, they're going to get her now, you know. So they had me brainwashed as a kid, rooting against my own people. And so that's what this school system does. It indoctrinates. It doesn't teach. It doesn't teach you, you know, equality. It doesn't teach you the truth, you know, just go around the truth. My grandfather, he was, I think he was half or quarter French. And this was World War I. He was in World War I. He wasn't even a citizen yet. 1924, the natives became citizens. But yet he went to war. He became a sergeant. And the Maiduks, they have their story about, you know, what happened over there. So anyway, all of this that I've learned, when I was 19 years old, I ended up going to Alcatraz when they took it over. And when I went to Alcatraz, it lit a little fire under me. And that fire is still burning. And it taught me how Native people could work together instead of fighting each other. It taught me that this is our land. It's always been our land. It's always going to be our land, no matter what anybody says. It's between me and the Creator, you know, us and the Creator. The Creator knows. He's the one who created us. And when I tell other people that, you know, they don't want, they don't like to agree with me and stuff. But that don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like, it ain't between me and them anymore. It's between me and the Creator in my life, in my spirit. I had a dream. Our people are dreamers. I had a dream, and I was asking that question. Creator, are you just going to let these people come over here and do what they did, and then you're going to let them go to the spirit world with us and live with us? You know, are you going to do that, and, you know, because you're going to forgive them? And pretty soon this little Indian girl, she pops her head out of the clouds, like, because I was like this, talking, my dream. She pops her head out of the clouds, and she was talking this broken English. And she goes, oh, those kind of people. Those people that rob and steal and kill and rape and do all of that. She goes, they're going to go to the basement. And I go, what's the basement? And I woke up. And so this energy that we put out there, this negative energy, I think people create their own demise when they do that. You know, when they're hateful, when they're, you know, angry for nothing. And I do a sunrise ceremony now. I ran into a document that talked about this Flint man. Emily Siegel, her name was. She was 85 years old, 1935. She talks about this Flint man from Big Valley. She said, Flint man had the power of Jesus. He could walk on water. He could bring people back to life. You know, he was a good man, good medicine man, telling people how to love, telling people how to, you know, get along and all this. And but then he goes, one day he goes, these strange people are going to come here. And these strange people are going to do what we told you not to do. You know, they're going to kill, they're going to steal, they're going to do all of this. They kind of like lost their moral compass. But he says, don't fight them. Try to get along with them. Try to help them. And then when I see that document, like that anger of revenge or, you know, whatever I had in here, this anger I had, it kind of like went away. Hey man, I got something else to do. So I started the sunrise ceremony of forgiveness to America. Plus, honor the people at Bloody Island. And we did this 25 years now. And I had cancer when I first started it. I had cancer, and I didn't think I was going to last this long. And so I did it 4 years. I said, well, I'm not doing it anymore. You know, I did my 4 years, you know, four times. And my brother says, well, I don't know what you're going to do. He goes, if you're going to stop coming up here, he goes, I'll come up here myself. That's all about it. Well, no, you can't come here by yourself. You know, I'll keep on doing it. So we did it together. I was going to bring some posters to show you, and I forgot them. But we made 25 posters. And each poster, I try to tell a story on this poster, you know. So in the future, you know, all these posters will tell our kids something, you know. And that's what I'm worried about, our kids. On the radio, I'll say, all you old farts out there, you know, like me, you grandpas, you grandmas, how are you going to leave this lake for them? What are you going to do? You know, what energy are you going to put in this to clean our lake? Or are we just going to leave this lake like this, you know, for our kids? It's shameful. You know, didn't your grandparents or your mom, your dad, didn't they teach you any shame? And we were taught that. And so it's like these kids, she's about over 20 grandkids now. And I worry about that. I worry about their health. I worry about their food. I worry about their water. You know, what's going to happen, you know? And our tribe right now, we got a lot of young people, you know, our council members and stuff, and it seems like they kind of like don't think about that the future, you know. They're trying to make money, just like America's doing, I guess, you know, make more money and all that. We have a casino. We don't get big checks every month, you know. It's just, we get something, but we don't, you know, get a lot of money. But it's, you know, mostly jobs for the people that's there. And we got a lot of non-natives working there also. But when I first came to town in 1978, came back, this story I heard about Bloody Island, I had to go find a document. And I found one. And it's by this Benson, Raganel Benson, his name was. And he was he made baskets. And But anyway, his father was Scottish. He was half white, and his father died when he was 12 years old, so he didn't learn English or anything like that. He kind of like taught himself. He taught himself how to write. He taught himself on a typewriter how to type, you know. And so when Bloody Island happened, he went over there and asked his people, what happened here, and he wrote it down. Well, it started with, again, the Kelsey and them, how they enslaved the natives. And then when I read that document, on the second page, it says, the fathers and mothers of the little girls, the fathers and mothers were asked to bring the little girls to their house, Andrew Kelsey and Charles Stone. And if the parents didn't do that, they got hung up in the trees, sometimes by their thumbs, and their toes were barely touching the ground, and they had to hang there all night. Then they got whipped. But the guys ended up with the girls anyway. So when I read that, it was on the second page, I kind of dropped it and kind of like was really pissed, because I have granddaughters. I have daughters, granddaughters, and I got great-granddaughters now. And I got pissed and I'm an uncle too, about these guys doing this to little Indian girls. And then they got a town named after them. They got creeks named after them. They got a school named after them. John Sutter's got a hospital named after them. How can you honor anything like that? And that's what I was feeling in here. Is that, are you doing this because you hate us that much? You're doing this because you have no respect for us? Just like this Bragg thing, Who is he? Why is he here? Why are you honoring him? This guy wasn't a good person. Even his men tried to kill him. They didn't like him. Never won nothing. He's always lost. But now he's honored here in this town. And then at a place where they had a concentration camp. And they had all these natives here. And all it was a place for the settlers, the pioneers, or the army guys come to get a girl to have sex with. That's what these reservations were, So they were being used like that, disrespected. And so I'm kind of like tired of that, tired of our people being disrespected. And so I try to step up to the plate and put my foot in the door and say, hey, we're still here. Stop doing that in there, I'm alive, I got skin, I got hair. I'm a human being. I'm not invisible. And don't treat me that way, because I'll be hollering at you. I don't fight anymore, I don't fight anymore. I lived in Oakland, and I lived up in the streets. My brother was shot and killed over there. And so I lived that life. I know what it's all about, man. I know how you get along in a city like that. You have to shook and jive, they call it. And that's like lying, You could become a bullshitter. And so I kind of figured I was a pretty good bullshitter at one time, a young man. And so I can hear people when they're talking to you and I just kind of feel them that, hey man, these guys ain't telling the truth, like your new president. Seems like everything he says, you just feel like icky. You don't feel good about things that's, being said. That DAPL, they tried to stop them from putting that oil underneath the water over there at South Dakota. Well, he said he signed that blindly to let it go again, and he's smiling about it. And there's 18 million people, not only our native people, but other people down river. He said there's like 18 million downriver, and the oil thing is already leaking, and they just hide it, and so. Damn, when is it going to stop, When's all this BS going to stop, And so I'm glad to see people like you out here and backing Native people up or black people up. I feel like even the Jewish people in Israel right now, I've read so much about them. I've seen a lot of documentaries about that. And they're saying that the people here, the black people here, are the real Israelites, and those people over there are fake in Israel right now. And why are they saying this? Is this true and all this? Because that's what they're saying now. I have two clips that I played on my show last week. These two white preachers were talking to their congregation of white people and saying, "We messed up. What we did to the Native people, what we did to the black people, God didn't like it. God's mad at us. And he's going to pay these people for what we did to them. He's going to pay them back. You know, and is anybody hearing that? You know? Does anybody care? You know, and when I saw that, it just kind of made me say, wow, finally, these preachers are telling the truth. That's what I felt. You know, and it made me feel good that finally this truth is coming out. And I feel like white folks think that if natives take over, take their land back, and well, we're going to do the same thing they did to us. Or if the black people get in charge and everything, I think they think that the black people are going to do the same thing to them that they did to them. But my heart says, you know, to pay back like that is wrong. To do somebody wrong, if somebody does something to you and you do something back to that person, it's wrong. It's, you know, you show the Creator that you have no respect for the Creator. And I feel like America is telling the Creator that right now. You know, we have no respect for your Creator. We don't care if you gave this land to these people here. We don't care if, you know, you bless them with this land stuff. We got it now because they didn't win the war. That's what I hear a lot. You didn't win the war. You know, why did you guys fight? You know, why don't you be tough like us and fight for it and all that? We're not warriors. We don't have no war weapons. We don't have no war songs. We don't have no war stories. When the Creator created our people, he went to the top of the mountain and he told all his creation, bottom of the mountain, wherever they were created. And he told them the responsibilities, what they do. When you live to this land right here, this is what you do, bear. This is what you do, rabbit. This is what you do, you know. This is how you get along with the human. This is your responsibility. This is what balance is. This is what harmony is when you live together. This is what you got to do. He didn't teach us to make a bigger bow or a bigger spear and go next door and kill your brother, take his woman, and take his deer skins. And he didn't teach anything like that to us. So when I go to schools or do presentations, I'll say the first introduction to civilization, to freedom, justice, and liberty was this. I heard that the Army they didn't send the Army out here to kill Indians, natives. I hate saying Indian because we're not from India.
This is a cannonball.
This is a 19-pound cannonball from a howitzer. And they fired it on how many at Bloody Island at the people. And then I said, that's what they fired at my great-grandmother as a 6-year-old girl. You know, to kill her. All the kids that were on the island that survived, that didn't survive, were all bayoneted. They all got stabbed and thrown in the lake, and a lot of the women. There are stories in the papers that they wrote across the United States. This is in the book, American Genocide. After they did this, they went to Texas and they had a big promotion party for Captain Lyons, for Percival Smith. Percival Smith made the order number 44 for complete extermination of the Clear Lake and Pit River Indians. So they sent the Army to do it. And they didn't kill everybody, you know, but at Bloody Island, they killed over 300 at Coy, the Spanish Vallejo did, and over 400 at Bloody Island. And then they went down to Shokajau. I wore this necklace today because one of my cousins that's from Shokajau, she made this. And she does good work making necklaces, you know. Her name is Gail. But that was her family over there, 150 people. Then they went to Cloverdale, Hopland. Then they went to Cloverdale. They went to Santa Rosa, just village to village to village to village. Kill, 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 kill for 2 pedophiles. Andrew Kelsey and Charles Stone. Killed, you know, babies, you know, kids. Then after all of that happened, they, like I said, they went to Texas to have this promotion party, and they promoted General Percival Smith to Brigadier General, and then they told him, now you take care of the rest of the Indians from the Mississippi on. He said, you did such a good job here with this order number 44, we want you to take care of the rest of the Indians now. And his first order to his generals was hunt down, seek out, and exterminate. So from Mississippi on, I mean, Wounded Knee happened, Sand Creek happened, You know, so many massacres happened during that time. Vigilantes they had, I don't know how many vigilante groups out here in California. And there was that $2 million for bounty in the 1850s, paying for fingers. They would cut women open and take the little baby out, cut the hair off that baby and sell that hair for bounties. Almost $1.5 million were paid for bounties, for fingers, for, you know, hair and all that jazz. You know, and like, every time I hear these stories or read these stories, I look at my babies. How can anybody do that? That's sick. That's not human being. That's not being a human being. You know, to me anyway, in my opinion. I have to say all these things I say is my opinion. Okay, it's not anybody's opinion. But, you know, this is my opinion. This is what I've learned, and this is how I think. And it's not about hate. If I was out here to hate and talk bad and all this stuff about the people and all that, well, I feel like I wouldn't be, you know, blessed by Creator. We went to Kelseyville, 2005. We went to Kelsey's monument, and I did a prayer there. There were like 80 of us there, and PBS filmed it. And we went there and did a prayer. You have water? We did a prayer. Anybody got water? I need water. But anyway, we did a prayer there. And did a prayer, and then we marched down Kelseyville. The street, right in the middle of the street. And we went to the park, and then we made a circle. And then anybody had the opportunity to get out there in the middle to give their heart of what they felt and all this stuff, you know. And so we did that. And then I went home. I went home and I went to sleep, and I woke up about 6:30 that night. And one of my partners, I'm on KPFZ in Lakeport. And the radio was on, and one of my partners, T. Watts, the black guy, he was playing some, you know, music I like, you know. So I phoned him up and thanked him for it. I said, hey, right on, bro. I woke up to some good music and all that, you know, and talked to him. And he goes, no, thank you. He goes, thank you for doing that this morning. He goes, I was there. He goes, and I felt the energy, the positive energy and stuff, you know. Then I says, we got to thank the Creator for this, you know. And I was going, thank you, Creator, you know. It's all about Him teaching us how to be, you know. And anyway, he hung up, and I kept on saying, thank you, Creator, for making me who I am, or giving me the opportunity to do what I do. Thank you. And man, I swear, man, I kept on saying thank you, and just tears, bucket of tears came out, and I couldn't quit crying. And pretty soon this warmth started covering me. Just went down real slow in my body. And it felt so good. You know, it did. It felt good. And I felt like it was our ancestors, or it was the Creator blessing me for trying to be at least halfway decent, you know, a human being. And it felt good. And so now I think about that, you know. I'm working, I feel like I'm a servant now for the old people, for the ancestors. I went to a sun dance, same thing happened over there. And I felt just dancing on my tumors when I was inside the sweat lodge. And I asked the medicine man if he was doctoring me. And he goes, no, I didn't touch you. He goes, I don't know what you're doing at home. He goes, but there was old people in there, and they were doctoring you. They were, you know, they said that they want to keep you around for a little longer because of what you're doing. And I'm doing that sunrise ceremony to honor them, you know, and forgive America. And so I thought of that, right? And so I'm still here, you know, even having cancer. And plus my woman over here, she kind of fed me. I'm still here, you know. Oh, thank you.
I drank out of it.
She did a good job, you know, just keeping me alive. And so now I'm raising 3 little babies, and I'm teaching them a lot of this stuff. I have a little girl, she's 5 years old, you know, and they're ornery kids, man. They got Lakota in them. They got crazy horse in them. And I'm telling her, you're going to be a lawyer someday, and you're going to sue for California back. You know, and, oh, Grandpa, you know, you're going to be the lawyer and all, you know. But I'm trying to teach them, you know, like, you gotta, this is your land, you know, this is your mother. You have to protect your mother. You have to protect all these veins. I was telling them, see all these veins in your arm like this? I said, this is the way Mother Earth was. And her creed, you plug up a vein in our arm, what's going to happen to our arm, you know? Or if we plug up a vein over here to our heart, what's going to happen, you know? Same thing with Mother Earth. We plug her up, dam her up and stuff, and take out that natural flow. What things happen, and it's not good things. She gets dirtier or whatever, you know. And so people gotta realize that, I feel. They gotta know this, you know. It ain't about us anymore. It's about our babies. What we can do for our babies, you know. This name change thing in Lake County. I started with the mascots, 2 mascots, the Braves and the Indians. I didn't know the middle school had the Braves, but I went to a tournament there with my granddaughter. And when I went in there, they had this little boy and this little round ball. And he had a mohawk and he had a Tommy-hawk. And every time their team would make a basket or rebound, he would dance around like this, you know, like that, right? And I'm going, what the hell, man? You know, what's he doing? And so every time my granddaughter, she would make a basket or a rebound, I would stand up and I'd go, oy, 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 and I'd go, ooh. Then I'd turn around to the audience, and we're not your mascot. And I turned back around and sat down. I did that about 8 times. And then that following Monday, I called the school, and I talked to the psychologist. And me and her kind of got in a little, you know, hassle there. She goes, well, I'll have the principal call you. So the next day, Tuesday, he calls me. Nice guy, a real nice guy. And then Wednesday, he meets me at the superintendent of schools. He introduced me to him. That was a Wednesday. Then the following Tuesday, we have a meeting to change the name. But they said, oh, it's bigger than this. We got to get, you know, a bigger meeting. So they had a bigger building, a bigger meeting, about maybe 150 people. There was about maybe 20 or 30 of us, you know, and all the rest of the people, they had their Indian uniforms on, you know, and they're the Indians, right? But anyway, everybody talked. We got up there and made our testimony and stuff, and they voted. It was the second month, and they voted. And they voted 5-0 to change it. Man, Kelseyville got mad. I mean, they got mad at me. I got threatened with phone calls and all this stuff, you know, but they changed it. And then 2 years later, well, that was 2006. 2007, I was didn't have anything to do, so I started trying to change the town's name. And, but you know, I was kind of like by myself, and I didn't have no backup or anything like that. And so I tried, and I didn't succeed. So I got back on the radio and said, you know, started talking about why do I have to, you know, change these names that I didn't even, you know, I didn't name these, our people didn't name these names, you know. We already have names. I said, why don't you white people out there that your ancestors did this? I said, need a good white woman, strong white woman, right? Come up and just get out there and shout and write and all this stuff, you know, to help me, you know. And here's this woman from Kelseyville, Lorna. She answered the call. She started this group called the Citizens for Healing. And it's all Caucasian people, you know. But they started it, and they submitted the application, and pretty soon it just started getting bigger and bigger, and now we got all the tribes involved. We got the American Indians, the Congress, what's it they call it, the Native American Congress of the Native Americans. They're involved. They're backing us up now. And I got our council involved. I mean, they didn't even think of things like this, right? But now they're talking about it, you know. And they're young, you know, they're younger, the next generation down. And so I seen a little fire get big, bigger fire. And I feel it, I'm hoping that the National Congress of Native Americans being there backing us up is going to change. Regardless, if they won, I forgot how many votes they had, but they beat it 70% to 30%. And, you know, Citizens for Healing was kind of upset about it, and I said, man, you know, just hold on now. You know, it's the Congress of Native Americans, I think they're going to pull it through for us. And the Board of Supervisors, they're going to vote, I guess, the next meeting, and they're going to vote that we should change it. So hopefully that all comes, you know, that comes to light, and then, you know, it gets changed, and then we can work on the next project. But again, that burial ground, that bothers me. And this under Highway 20, I have a friend, she said that she would help me close down that highway and we can do a march and expose the Army Corps of Engineers for what they've done. I want them to get the same thing Floyd got, 28 million, 400 times 28 million, they'll build a beautiful museum. You know, there'll be a Holocaust museum, but after you see all of that, then you're going out, then you see the pictures of the sunrise ceremony of what we've done. This is what we've done with our Holocaust. And anybody in the world can do the same thing. You know, it just takes this, that's all it takes. You know, not gonna take no money or anything like that, it's gonna just take love, caring, sharing, that kind of energy. Again, that energy to me is it's what we call harmony, it's what we call balance. And, but it takes people like you know. You guys, I saw you guys, I don't really like to call these light-skinned people white people. I think that white was invented, 1676, I think they said that they invented this white, this white race of people, you know, there's white people. And reason being is they had to fill, when they was taking the Indian land, well, they had to put white people on this land. And so they start naming everybody white, you know, that came from, you know, Italy, came from Spain, they were all white people there. And even some Cubans were white, I heard, you know. But, again, it ain't about, again, white, black, green, yellow, purple. I have grandkids that have light skin, but they're being raised with a native family. So they got like a native heart, right? And they're gonna hear a lot of this stuff out there. The hateful people, when they think they're all together and nobody's around, well, they say things that hurt, you know. And you know, they're gonna hear that stuff, and so they're gonna be strong. You know, I gotta teach them to be strong. You know, it's words only hurt when you let it. You know, and if people want to be ignorant like that, well, yeah, that's on them. And so I believe in prayers. I believe in that energy of prayers. When we move the energy of prayers, you know, when we give it to somebody, I believe, you know, it helps. And so that's what our people were all about, praying about. I'm from the Shikam tribe, and they would, the women, they didn't have no like spring, so what they would do, they would go to next to the lake, and they would dig a hole right next to the lake, and they would let that water flow from the lake into that hole. They would go through the sand and go through the rocks. But while they were digging that hole, they would be singing up like a prayer song, you know, and singing to the water, you know, singing to the dirt. And so the water would be good, you know. And every time they cooked, and every time they did anything, they prayed, or they gave thanks, you know. I mean, nobody want to believe that people were like that, you know. It sounds like to me American people don't like that. I mean, you know, it's like, no, you people ain't like that, man. Everybody fought, you know, everybody raped each other, everybody. I said, no, we don't have a history of it, you know. Like the Lakota, they have the bison skin, and they wrote their story about the little battles they had, you know. They kept their history writing on that skin. We never did anything like that. We don't even, like I said, we don't have no war songs, war weapons, or anything like that. My great-grandmother would get up every morning, again, and she would get up, she'd say, "Oh, Waharika," you know, and she would pray. And then she would say, "Thank you." She would say, "Yosemi Waharika Bakodi." Make everything good around me, my father. Thank you. And so, thank you guys for inviting me over here, you know, to share with you. I think you're part of the family over there now. We're all one family now trying to do these things, you know, so we should help each other out. But anyway, let's see if I got anything more to say.
We'll have something.